Today we talked about hyperbolas in class. So it's our third conic section after circles and ellipses. So what we'll do is go ahead and get started, kind of just going over the definitions. So what we have here is a hyperbola. So there are two versions of a hyperbola. The first version of a hyperbola is where we have our x term, our dependent variable, or I'm sorry, independent variable here on the left side, and it's over a, so it's our positive. And in that case, what's going to happen is we're going to get this hyperbola where we get this kind of like hook on the left and a hook on the right. So that's one kind of idea. So a hyperbola is where we have these two kind of like parabolas, for lack of a better term, these two U-shaped curves, opposite sides. If our first term, if our x term is positive, we're dealing with a hyperbola that has like a left and right kind of focus opening. And if we have one where the y part is positive, if you notice the y part's positive, that tells us that we have a top, bottom, and a opening. But both of them are kind of following the same process. There's a center. Center's in the middle. Center will always be h comma k, so we'll still always deal with that center as h comma k. Center is still hk. We still have an A. We still have an A and a B. Now notice the A's and B's stay in the same place. A is always with a positive. B is always with a negative. And the way we're going to deal with this is the following. So we have the hyperbola equation: y squared over 4 minus x squared over 9 equals 1. So if I want to look at this, the first thing I want to do is I want to see which one is positive. So if I look at this, it looks like the y is positive. So it is not going to be this one. It's going to be this one over here. So that tells me I'm going to have a hyperbola that's going to kind of be shaped like that. If you will, the way you think about it, we have y up front. If you remember to your algebra days when you had y equals a number, we were dealing with the horizontal line, kind of have that horizontal line that goes in between those two. So now what we're going to do is we're going to figure out the center. The center here is hk. In this case, it's 0, 0. So what that means is that our center is 0, 0. This is at the origin. So we're centered here. The next thing we're going to figure out is we're going to figure out our a and our b. This is our a here. So our a squared is 4, which then means our a is 2. Our b squared is 9, which then means our b is 3. And the way we're going to figure this out is, since we have a hyperbola that opens up and down, we're going to use this a to drive towards the vertex. So it's 2 spots, 1, 2, put a dot there. We're going to go from that same origin down 2. So these are going to be our 2 vertices. This is a vertex. This is a vertex. This was the center, as we recall. So now what we're going to do is, now that we've used the vertices, what we're going to do is we are going to use our B to kind of go the opposite direction. So in that case, 1, 2, 3 gives me a point here. 1, 2, 3 gives me a point here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to make ourselves a rectangle. The rectangle is going to have all 4 of these spots, but these 4 spots are going to be in the center, the midpoint of all these sides. So we're going to have a rectangle that kind of looks like this. So we got our rectangle. Now what we want to do is we want to go ahead and draw ourselves a diagonal that bisects through the center. So we're going to do this. So there's one, and we'll go the opposite direction as well. So there we have asymptotes that we're going to use. And now what we're going to do is we are going to figure out where we're going to put that hyperbola. And that hyperbola is, like I said, top or bottom. So what we're going to do is go start from here, kind of draw that little U shape. So there's a parabola piece. I'm sorry, hyperbola piece. And there's a hyperbola piece. And that's what our hyperbola is going to look like. So that's the first one. That's how we would actually draw one. We're going to then now do one where it's going to have the it's completing the square to do that. So just let's pause for 1 second.